Okay. So, as you can see, our guest for today is Vaibhav Ingale, who passed out in the 2019 batch. And we don't have a format as such for this alumni session, as you would have seen. We have a basic set of questions that we'll be asking him, but beyond that, I encourage all of you to please unmute and speak about anything under the sun that you want to ask him. Um, let's just start. I have a very uh, sort of this is a small question. What are your fondest memories from your stay at IISER?
Fondest memory. I think uh, every day was kind of a memory because each and every day we were like trying to interact with people, doing some activities, doing our studies, enjoying the hostel life. So there is no specific memory or specific thing I would rather say. But like doing some lab work as such, I would say, like I was actively involved in disha. So like in my third and fourth year I was part of a disha team, so I enjoyed that as a lot. So there are few activities, something like this, which I would rather say as a fondest memories, but there is no specific one.
Yeah. So you mentioned you like lab work. So could you explain the terms like marine geosciences, oceanography, hydroacoustics to someone who is not that much into ECS to a layman? And what are you currently working on as a part of your PhD?
I'm currently working in the UBO. So my topic of interest is to understand the dynamics of the seafloor spreading. For that, we need to understand the statistics or the distribution of the earthquakes which occur on the mid-oceanic ridges in the Indian Ocean. So, but unfortunately, the land base or the traditional, the seismological networks are not that strong enough to detect the small earthquakes on the mid-oceanic ridges. So there is a term called as a hydroacoustics, which record the acoustic waves emitted by the earthquakes. So we record them, which will help to understand and to detect the small magnitude earthquakes, and this will help to understand the mid-oceanic ridge in much better sense. That means like we can understand um, the geodynamics of that part, the thermal distribution of that part, or like how this spreading can evolve in the future aspects. So this is my current PhD topic. So this is mostly based on the hydroacoustic analysis. So hydroacoustic means hydro means water, acoustic means sound. So when the earthquake occurs, it emits kind of a sound waves in the water, and that travel over the longer distance. So the analysis of this work is called as a hydroacoustics. So oceanography includes all the aspects which will help to understand the ocean in much better sense. So it can be some biological studies happening in the ocean, some physical studies, some the chemical samplings, or maybe a geophysical studies in the ocean. And in marine geosciences, it does not depend till the ocean. What happens beneath the ocean, like what do you mean by the oceanic crust, or what is the structure of the internal structure of the earth, or the structure of the crust in the ocean, and how it differs from the continental part. So the study related to that part goes into the marine geoscience. So these are the three different, but they are kind of interconnected fields.
So, the work that you're doing broadly falls in the ambit of geophysics. Am I right?
Yes, in one sense it's a physics, but it's not a geophysics. It's a hydroacoustic physics. because geo means earth, and there is no direct connections to the, like, I'm not studying on the direct seismic waves like emitted by the earthquakes. I'm studying the part of the seismic waves like acoustic waves. So it's kind of a hydroacoustic physics.
I have a short follow-up for this. What were your motivations behind taking up ECS and geophysics as a career path?
So it was a fun story. I was attending a winter school in the NCRA in front of the Ayuka. So there was a talk by one of the professor from the Nehru Planetarium. So he mentioned about how can we understand the rock properties or the asteroid properties using the radio astronomy. So in that lecture, he brought some rock samples, and so I got kind of interested to understand what these rocks and all this. So when I came back to the IISER, then I contacted Professor Shamrai. So when I discussed with him, then he suggested me some readings. So while reading those papers or articles or some books, I got slight interest in the geophysics, so that I chose for my later studies also.
So you did your MS thesis with Shamsa, right?
Yes.
Uh, what was the topic which you dealt with in your MS thesis?
So in MS thesis, so we know the southern Indian peninsula, starting from the one side like Karnataka, when we go to the Andhra. So in this part, the distribution of the earthquakes is very less, and there is not much recordings. But if we want to understand the internal structure or the subsurface properties of that region, so what to study? So there is a term called as ambient noise tomography. So the earth, there is a like kind of ambient noise present on the earth at each and every point. It could be because of some the ocean tide interactions, or some vehicle moving or anything. So this is like a kind of oscillatory movement, so we record this as a ambient noise. And when we analyze this ambient noise, we get to understand the physical properties of the subsurface. So that will help, like, how uniform is the ocean, the continental crust, or is there any anomalies, or is there some specific point is there, like, which will help to understand in much better sense. So that was my topic.
Um, we also saw that you were also selected. You are probably the first one who was selected for the IPGP program from the ECS department.
Yes, through the MOU between ICER and the IPJP.
So how was your experience in IPGP, and did you or do you still face any language barrier issues when living in France?
Language barrier issues will be there, like when you go outside, but like not in the institutions. Outside, the language barrier will be there, but in the institutions, everyone speaks English and easy to communicate. So there is no problem as such. Like though I am in France for last couple like 3 years, but I still can't speak French. I'm still learning because everyone speaks English. So I'm not facing as such problem, but it's better to understand or better to learn in a good way, so that you can easily roam and interact with the friends outside the campus. So yeah, it's kind of a fun, and it's a good going way, I would rather say.
Apart from the language part, the first one, how was the academic experience in IPGP?
Okay, sorry. Academics was quite challenging, just because in ICER we have I mean 7 or 8 courses a semester, spanning for like 25 credits maximum, or 26 credits. But here there were like 10 courses in a semester, and plus one tutor project, like a semester projects you have to do, which completes around 30 credits. And so doing those classes were kind of a new experience, because in ICER we have like a class for 1 hour, but here the single class was for like 3 hours or 4 hours. So it's a continuous class. And and it was like a very different subjects that we studied in the IISER. So like you have to like a kind of a keep focus on each and every moment of the class, otherwise you will miss the entire class or maybe entire course. So that part was quite challenging, but at the same point it was interesting also, because very limited class size and very easy to interact with the professor or ask any doubts or something. And in the next part, in the internship, like you can choose either academia or the industrial internship. But in our case, only options were given for the academia due to the some scholarship issues. So for that, I choose the seismology as my internship. So that topic was a different what I did in the ISER. So that was like to understand the deep earthquakes. Deep, I mean the like the earthquakes which occurred below 600 kilometers. So the dynamics of those kind of earthquake, I was trying to understand through the seismological point of view. And that internship was also quite different because of the new experience, new work culture. So so it was in a good way to understand the French work culture, because in classroom teaching you won't be able to understand, but in your projects or in your internships it is very easy to understand.
So, did you see any notable difference in the research culture between, say, IISER and in France?
Notable, yes, there is, because uh, like a few things like facilities, like some are available in ISER but not here, but some are available here but not in like a ISER environment. The here the main thing is that the people are very strict about their timings. So in ISER, like obviously we are students, we are BSMS students, so at whatever time we want to work, we can work, and it's our choice. But here is like everyone prefers to start work in the early morning, say at 9 or something, and then finish the work at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, and after that enjoy whatever you want to do. But during that time, everyone tries to focus on their work. So it helps to kind of motivate ourselves our every morning and keep in those kind of process or work culture, and that helps or that improves uh, mm, our ability to work. But it also good to interact with the people in that timings, so it's very easy, and it's kind of a different that what we observed in the ISA culture. Like I know like some experimental people, they might have to work overnight, it's possible. But like those theoretical people, like we can also change or we can understand that kind of difference here.
So, you mentioned about the life beyond, say, 6 p.m. Okay, we have a comment in the chat window. Bhushan has said, I joined late. I don't know what has happened till now. I have a question. How is data science and machine learning used in this field? Did you learn it? And how do you learn these things?
So as such, I didn't learn any data science or machine learnings related things, um, because mine is mostly the analysis of the earthquake catalogs, which which just includes a simple MATLAB or Python coding, which is not it's like a basic coding. There's not a much machine learning or heavy codes are required. So as such, I haven't learned those things. But yes, this will be my another topic in my PhD, to introduce machine learning in this uh, earthquake catalog analysis. And I'm trying to learn, like I'm kind of following some YouTube lectures or something, but as such I haven't started it properly. But there are few topics in geophysics which includes the machine learning. Like if you want to model some internal structure using some pre-recorded data sets, then you need the part of the machine learning that some of my colleagues are working on that part. So yes, it's good to use machine learning.
I hope the question is answered.
What is the
There is
toughness level of earth and climate science? Toughness level, I don't see any toughness level or something like that, because I personally didn't feel any toughness in that part. So because at my point there were very limited number of courses offered in ECS department. Like I remember when I left the IISER Pune, that after that year there was a full-fledged program was offered in the ECS department. So but the courses which I took, they were quite interesting and very easy to follow. So I'm not sure like how can I describe the toughness level in ECS courses. I'm not exactly sure.
during your time, did you have enough courses to fill your credits from ECS, or you had to take courses from here and there, say physics or chemistry too?
There were enough courses so that you can get the masters in ECS, but I was doing something different. Like I was doing my semester and the projects in ECS, but I was taking a courses from physics department because I wanted to do geophysics. So I wanted to have a basic clear in my physics background. So most of the courses were from the physics and some were from the ECS.
I see. So we'll move on to the next question. The question here. Um, how did you manage financially during your stay there? Did your scholarship cover all the living costs? I believe so.
Yes, the scholarship is enough to cover your living cost and everything. If you want to have some fun, some extra activities, some tourism, some other activities like sports or anything, that yeah, you can easily manage here. There is no cut financial crisis here. Like you get sufficient scholarships here, so there won't be any problem. Like during my masters also, I was getting a full-fledged scholarship, so that was enough to stay in Paris.
So you mentioned about sports and stuff. Apart from academics, did you have enough avenues to spend on extracurriculars? Say we have clubs and all that here in IISER, but there do you have such avenues?
um like when I was in Paris, I could see like quite active clubs and every other clubs, because I remember there was a kind of a cricket club in Paris, like run by some Indian students, and it was a very quite active club. But when I moved to this city in Brittany, like after I came here, like, it was a kind of a lockdown. So only in this month everything seems to be properly open. But I haven't interacted with other people to follow any club activities or sports, but hope I'll get some contacts or something. But some college students, they arrange the surfing activities like in the oceans. So that is a one of the quite active club here, and you can enjoy that part over the weekends very easily.
Um, which places have you visited during the stay in Europe? Did you plan any sort of a mini college union with your batchmates while being in Europe?
Many college the the
A reunion of sorts. Your friends from IISER meeting up there.
yes, yes. Like the being in a Paris is like you became a host because everyone wants to visit a Paris, like in some sense. So whoever comes to the Paris, like we used to hang out, and I was kind of a sort of a tourist guide for them for some part, but yes, we used to roam in different places, different countries also. So it's a fun, like to see the ISO friends over in the European side. It's always a fun, and you can easily connect with them, and you can have a good tourism or something like that.
The next question I have is a bit more serious. Would you recommend people to look for thesis options abroad, which are not part of a formal program, say IPGP or DAT, which aren't covered by a formal thing? In that case, is going abroad worth it, or do you think we can get equally good exposure from Indian institutes?
Uh, so suppose if I'm interested in particular subject and I found one particular program is very good offered in another institutions like abroad, but we need to have a clearance on few aspects. The first aspect is the funding. Like if you are getting sufficient funding, then it's always good, otherwise it becomes very tough job. And uh, and if the funding part is clear, but the normal thesis which are like offered in kind of a IISER structured, like you can have a thesis project outside, so that part is really good. But if the program is bit different from the IISER structure, then you need to have a clearance from the IISER also, like would you be able to attend this kind of programs or not. So but like a normal thesis internships or thesis project, if you want to do abroad, please look at the fundings and the records of the professor. But these are the two most important aspect which will help and secure your the internship. Otherwise it becomes a kind of a tough job.
Um, as a follow-up, how easy or difficult do you think it is to find open positions or positions with secured funding by contacting professors individually, especially in the earth sciences?
So in earth sciences, like you can follow um, some professors web page or some professors groups. So how I used to do is like I read the papers or I read the articles. If I have some doubts, I'll directly contact that professor. So it becomes very easy to connect with him, and through the doubts and through the interactions you can easily ask him for the internships. That's the one very tricky way, but kind of a cheating also. Like you're kind of getting interacted with the professor, and if you find like this topic or this professor will help me to obtain internship, then you can directly ask him. And probably if he has a funding, then it is good. Otherwise, if you can arrange some external fundings during for your internship, it always helps. So it's a good sign. But yes, there are different ways to contact professor, like following the groups or the professor's papers, or maybe asking some doubts um, to the paper. It will helps a lot.
That is indeed a life hack. Thanks for that.
Yeah, because I contacted few professor like that only, and I had like quite a good discussion with them. So it helped me a lot.
So we'll take a short break from the dead questionnaire and we'll see if anyone from the audience has any questions. Feel free to
Yeah,
unmute or put them in the chat window.
sure.
Okay, we'll give them a bit more time to think about questions and we'll proceed. So now going to your PhD part, what does your average day look like?
What is average? Oh, sorry.
What does your average day look like during your PhD? Uh, what's your daily schedule sort of thing?
Daily schedule, it's very simple. Get up in the early morning, make your lunch, and try to go in the office by 9 o'clock. Then work till 6:30. then came back. uh, some other activities, like I don't do any gyms or anything, but I try to walk in the evening, and then dinner, and then some some readings, if there's some reading or something. Otherwise, take a rest and then plan for the next day. The only problem with this city is like it rains a lot here, so as such can't plan ahead of the things. Like you have to plan 1 or 2 days before. So it's kind of that situation. So but it's kind of a relaxing, and there is no tension or anything in this during the PhD time.
There is a follow-up question in the chat window. Lokesh has asked, how do you handle stress during PhD?
So the stress, as such, I don't take stress in my PhD work, because I try to limit myself and not to plan so many things in one go. I plan like very small things and then try to complete those, and that helps me to get some confidence, and it doesn't build up a good like severe stress or anything that I feel low or anything. So I try to keep calm and not to do some great things or any exotic things. Just I plan for small things which will help in my studies and anything. And or if I feel anything or something like that, then I may talk to some friends or something like that. But uh, there is no stress as such.
There was one question by Bhushan before this. How many ECS courses do we need to take in IISER to get a major?
For major, there is a rule, I guess. You have to complete 42 credits in third and fourth year, and you should be having a thesis in that subject. So you'll get a major in that subject. I think it's same for all the disciplines, I guess.
Yeah, it's still at 50% for us.
Yeah.
Going back to the PhD part, when did you start applying for PhD and how many universities did you apply to before getting one?
Uh, Interestingly, I had applied only one position with very focus and strong desire, and I got to that university only. So I'm happy with that part. But uh, on the other side, as a backup, I was planning and to apply in some other colleges. Like in Paris only, I applied at one position, but unfortunately, I didn't got it. And one college in Australia, in Australian National University. So I applied there, but still the I got a negative response. And there was a one college in the Tokyo University, but there also I got a negative response. But this position I applied with a strong desire, but fortunately I got it here. So it was not a tough job to apply for the PhD applications.
You
And
said you were quite focused while applying. Were there any specific things which stood out in your application? Like what were the main points that you think helped you to get through to this position?
so the first point was like my previous work, which I did both in ICERs and in IPGP. So based on that part, I wanted to apply. The second point is like how the next project would be. Like what is the main question they are trying to address, or what kind of studies they are going to do in this PhD work. So I was focused on that part. So these 2 or 3 points I took in mind, and then I was focused. Okay, I want to do this part, and I'll apply now to this college or these positions. So actually, the thing happened is like after my masters, both in IPGP and ICER, I didn't get any PhD offer, or I didn't got selected when I applied in. So after that, I did a one internship for a 1 year in Paris in the IPGP only, so that I will have a clear idea on what topic should I look for and what topic should I not look for. So during the course of the internship, I got to know what I don't want to do in my PhD, but still I was a bit skeptical or a bit confused on what do I want to do. So during this course of the internship, I came to across this position, and then I think over it for a couple of weeks, and then I thought, okay, this is the position that I want to apply. So then I prepared my application, which include my experience in IISER, in IPGP, and my motivation towards this project. So that helped me a lot.
As a follow-up to this, was your PhD project on which you are currently working on, was it totally well-defined from the start, or did you have some headway to, say, explore as the years go on?
No, it was pretty well defined, because here in France, like if you are applying for some external fundings for your PhD students, then you need to have a kind of a pre-planned PhD projects, like what is going to do in the first year, then second year and third year, or is there a chance to extend or something. So to because my professor was planning to apply some external funding, so the project was entirely pre-planned, like what this student is going to do in his first year, how to approach, how these results will be helpful to carry forward in the next studies and something. So everything was pre-planned. So that is also another strong point, like then I got a clear idea on, like okay, this PhD project will helpful. But sometimes we don't get a clear idea, or the project is not well defined. Like many of students, like if you are also planning for internships or some projects, you also might feel that, okay, this is not predefined or anything. So maybe like while before applications or anything, it's better to have a chat or some discussion with the professor, so you'll get a clear idea, and maybe read one or two articles based on that, so you'll get a firm idea. Okay, this project might be telling, or maybe we have to do something like this, and this will help to prepare your application in good way.
While talking about PhD, we had a couple of questions in the chat window. Shekhar has asked, his first question is, does being in a relationship or extracurricular activity affect your PhD life in a negative sense? The second question is, how did you write your SOP?
To the first one, does being in relationship or extracurricular activity affect your PhD life in negative sense? Actually, I am not involved in any extracurricular activities here, because this is mostly focused on my PhD part as of now, because I started my second year. So it is not affecting anything as of now for like in a negative sense. Like as I there was a one question beforehand, like how do you handle the stress? Because I don't get stress, so I don't get any negative thoughts, or like my life doesn't get affected in negative way. So so I don't think it affects. How did you write your SOP? So SOP, like you have to sorry, keep in mind like few things, like the first, like how was your like course structure in IISER, then about your internships, like maybe like your summer internships, your winter internships, your fifth year projects, you have like a strong idea. And then the part comes is like what you actually wants to do in your like either an internship or your MS thesis project, or your PhD program. So you have to connect your early life in the IISER to your internships and to what you want to actually do in your PhD or some thesis work. So all these things should be connected, and that is very like, if we are clear on our thoughts and if we know what we want to apply, then it's very easy to relate and easy to connect. So it won't affect your recipe in a very wrong sense, but it should be a kind of a reflect actually what are your skills and how you are motivated, or why do you want to apply for this position only. So it should properly reflect in your recipe. So we have to keep in mind about these facts.
You talked about connectedness in throughout your projects or your experiences during the whole of IISER. What would
Mhm.
be your advice for someone who is more like sort of exploring, doing a project here in one topic, the second project is in some other topic, and this is how, if someone's career trajectory has been like that, what would be your advice while applying for PhD?
Okay, so actually I did the same. Uh, in my first year, I did the optical experiments in like physics department. Then in my second year summer, then I went to the NCRA. There I did the radio astronomy. Then I came to the IISER, which is like a geophysics. So in some sense, these three projects are not kind of related. They were kind of like very different parts, but that the experience in one project will help to improve our next studies or next topic, because just after 12th, because in 12th we are mostly focused on the coursework, attending the classes and giving the exams, and we don't have a kind of a such a research exposure. So that's why we opt for either winter or the summer internships. So suppose like in the first year internship, we take some any random topic or anything that we actually know what this topic is about, but actually it helps to get into the research environment, how this research is happening, what do you mean by research, and how the people work, how to find some solutions or some questions. And that might, okay, then if the students get interested in that topic or something, then he can carry forward. But if he's not interested and he wants to try different thing, surely he can try. There is no specific hurdle or something. If he wants to shift from one internship to the like physics to biology, that is also possible. But the previous experience always helps, like the next project will be much more improved version of the first one, though the topics or the subject is not the same, because we have been in that environment and we know how to uh, do the work, or how to uh, address the questions or how to raise the questions in our internship. So that is like a, everything is connected, and this is like a kind of a process, because it took me like first three internship to understand how to follow a proper research project. Because for me it took a time to take a stance and understand like how this project is going and how to follow this project. So there is no like if some students like one particular topic and he wants to continue, it's good. But if he wants to interchange the topic, yes, he can. There is no uh, there is a good learning, I would rather say, like while changing the topic, because you are exposed to the many different subjects during your internship, which are you might not be exposed during your coursework. So this will really help.
Thank you for that. Um, so we have a question by Shekhar. I'll just build on it and ask one. From your experience, what mattered the most in your applications? Was it CGPA, project experiences, other skills, letter of recommendations? Which one do you think stood out the most?
uh, CGPA was not that important, But the previous experience and the letter of recommendations, yes, they are important, because uh, one students may not have a good CGPA, or one student may not have a good CGPA, but if he has a strong recommendation and the strong research projects, then he is a most favored candidate in the selection procedure. But if you have like a very good CGPA and like your work experience is not that good, then you might not be that much favored. So CGPA is not important like your previous work and your letter of recommendations. They are really important. Like for your master PhD program, you need at least two letter of recommendations here in Europe. So that is most important.
And there is a related follow-up question. And Bhushan has asked how much CGPA is sufficient. He says he has just crossed 7 CGPA. Would it be sufficient?
Uh, uh, like I mentioned, like the CGPA, like a number is not that important. Whatever is your CGPA, but you are strongly motivated to apply, or to take that position, whether it's a master thesis or your PhD thesis, you are more than welcome. So, I can't say like one CGPA is below average or one CGPA is good or anything. There is no hard and fast rule. Like hardly someone will check on that part. But during this kind of a COVID situation, all this thing, like many students lacking the research internships, they are not getting a good internships because of this COVID situation. So like whatever your CGPA number is, that is not matter, but it's if you can show the improvement, like suppose like 6 in first semester but 6.1 in the second and 6.2, if the selection committee can see this kind of improvement, so whatever is your final number, whether it's below 7 or above 7 or above 8, that doesn't matter then, because you are showing the improvement. That means they'll understand, okay, though he hasn't done, or he or she hasn't done some internship or anything, but he's kind of committed towards the coursework, then he's easy to follow and it's ready to improve himself. So if you can show the improvement, that is more than sufficient. The number does not matter then. So keep that in mind. Like, so don't run behind the number, run behind the improvement. That's a simple thing.
Um, okay. There was one question by Raghav. How different is a PhD student's life from BSMS student?
PhD student, BSMS, like the first thing is like we have to follow up the courses. Like that is our the first priority during the semesters. So, and we opt for the semester projects, and like during the coursework, like we mostly focus on those particular courses for the semester, and try like give exams, read more about this and all. And in summer project we get a very less time for the research work. But in PhD life, like there is no as such a coursework you have to follow up. So whole thing you can focus on your own research work. So you can try out different things, you can learn, you write, you read more things, and that's how it becomes a different. Like when you go to your master thesis project, so that is a kind of a rehearsal for your PhD life, because you are doing your own thesis work, and this will carry, like this will give a clear idea like how to go ahead in PhD, how to think, and um, what to do in your PhD life. So first 4 years is very different than the MSc like thesis year in the IISER, and that kind of a sort of follow up in your PhD. There is no like, I remember the mindset or the schedule that I had in my MS work was kind of same thing I'm following here in my PhD work. So it's not that different. Only during first 4 years, it's yes, it is different.
There is a related question by Chahana. What would be one important suggestion or advice you would give to a fourth year BSMS student interested in ECS, specifically in geophysics?
What would be your advice for fourth year BSN student interested in ECS and specifically geophysics? So fourth year, that means like a currently seventh semester, like I'm assuming. So like if you want to do geophysics, because geophysics is like a really vast subject. There are very different topics included in the geophysics, so we need to understand what I actually want to do in geophysics. Like as I mentioned, like I did in two different projects. One was in ambient noise tomography, another was in seismology. So but both of them comes under geophysics. So there are different topics which people study in the geophysics. So we need to have a sort of a clear idea during the start of our eighth semester or something, like what I actually want to do in my fifth year project. And that's how you should start reading or looking for the topics or some articles or some the websites of the professor, so that you'll have a sort of a clear idea um, what I actually want. So maybe reading a different articles or books will really help on the topic that someone wants to choose for his master thesis or later on in the PhD.
We have another question by Bhushan. How did you get project at IISER? What do we need to do in projects as well as internship?
So, uh, like as I mentioned earlier, I was curious to understand few topics in the earth science. So then I contacted Professor Sham Rai sir, and then I described my situation like, okay, this is topic that I heard, and I want to understand, or I'm exactly not sure, like am I interested in this topic or anything, but I want to read on this topic. So I asked for the reading project. So this reading project helped me to actually see like what is my interest. um, so reading some topics and reading some articles, then I gave a presentation to the sir, and then he recommended me one topic to try out as a small internship, like in my winter. And like how this topic or how the results will you will get, then we will proceed. So then doing that short internship, then I asked him for the proper summer internship at the end of my third year. After my third year, then I took a proper summer internship with him, and through that point, then I was clear, okay, I really want to do this now, so I won't be looking here and there now, so I'll just continue to follow this project. So after my third, in my fourth year, I followed the geophysics mostly, and same for my master thesis project.
There is another question by Shekhar. He has asked, at what moment did you realize you should pursue science and do PhD?
uh, at what point I realized uh, there was not a strong motivation doing science after my 10th, as far as I know, because after my 10th result, I was going to take commerce to pursue CA, but somehow I changed my mind, or maybe I read something or something like that. I'm not exactly recalling. Then I chose science. But while doing science in 11th and 12th, I decided that I won't be opting for either engineering or pharmacy or medical. I want to go for the research work. So that motivated me to took admission in IISER, and during this IISER, following the research culture, having the interactions with the professors and everyone, then build up my mind. Okay, I should pursue a PhD to better understand the few topics. That's how I that's how I realized to pursue PhD during the coursework at the IISER.
Sort of a tangent on this. What are your future plans after PhD?
Uh, the my first plan is to have a good postdoc in this field only, and then try to look for the positions. But where to do postdoc and where to look for position, this answer is not yet decided. Hopefully, will soon.
Do you think there are enough open positions in India to come back to, especially in academia, ECS?
Yes, there are because uh, we have a name called Indian Ocean, but all French companies work in the Indian Ocean. There is no Indian company working in the Indian Ocean. So this is one of the big question, big open question. Like, okay, there are a few surveys or few studies operated by the National Institute of Oceanography, Goa, but very limited studies are offered in the Oceanic Geoscience from India. So yes, this kind of studies will really help uh, to. I'm not sure like how strong will I get the position, but yes, there are hopes that I'll get a positions in India. But that is completely in air now. There is no hardcore plan yet decided. Because most of the good geophysical surveys or expeditions or field works, they are offered by the either US nations or European countries, and very few are offered by the Indian territory. So this is a kind of a open questions, like the Indian scientists are still trying to look for.
There is another question by Bhushan. What topics are there in geophysics? What fundamental courses in physics are required?
So topics in geophysics is like one is a seismology, is like to understand the earth using the seismic waves, like the earthquake waves. Then there is comes like a geomagnetism, like to understand the planet earth using the magnetic properties. Then there comes the oceanography, because the studies on the continents, on the land and the oceans are completely different. They are not related due to the different the tectonic settings in both the part. uh, what is geomagnetism, geophysics, seismology, like the oceanic studies, also like some studies are applied to the extraterrestrial planets, like how do the earthquake kind of situation happen on the Mars, like a call as a Mars quake. So what is the internal structure of the Mars and how can we study the physics of the Mars? There are studies going in this topic. So extraterrestrial geophysics is also one of the good topic as of now, the people are studying. So yeah, these are like a basic geophysical topics uh, you can pursue. And what fundamental courses in physics are required? So the first thing is the classical mechanics, the electrodynamics, mathematical methods in physics, uh, the waves and matter, maybe sort of non-linear dynamics, uh, fluid dynamics. These are the basic course that mm, you can follow up. And the introductory quantum mechanics is required. There is no like a direct application of quantum mechanics here, but in quantum mechanics we are exposed to the many mathematical analysis in one problem, so that will help to understand kind of a problem solving situation, which is really helpful in the geophysics. especially if you want to do in kind of geomagnetism and something. So these basic courses in physics are really required. That's the only reason I follow up the courses in physics and taken up the internship in the ECS.
Bhushan says thank you for your answer and he has asked for your IISER mail ID.
IISER mail ID is vaibhav.ingale at students.iiserpune.ac.in. Maybe I can just type here. Okay, Hitesh is saying like Arya Samanta has work on the ECS and the data science. So maybe Bhushan can contact Arya and get in touch with him.
So this is the formal set of questionnaires that I had. So please feel free to pitch in. I'm sure we'd be happy to help you with whatever questions you have.
There is a question. I have a low GPA and even after 2 years, still haven't got the PhD position. Can you suggest me anything? Yes, of course. If you are looking for a PhD positions and not getting, then one thing you can try to have a good internship, like in India or some wherever this possible, and then through those internships you can build up your resume and maybe your strong motivations towards the PhD, which will help to apply PhD in good sense. But still, the low GPA criteria does not matter while applying for the PhD. So never worry about the low GPA. Just show the improvements.
Seems like people are a bit shy to ask questions. Is it because this is being recorded or something? We can probably stop recording as we are done with the formal set of questionnaire. And I'm sure you would see pretty familiar faces that you were acquainted with while being in IISER here. So they might have questions.
Yeah, any question is welcome.